In this series of tutorials, we're going to learn about panorama and tile world techniques in Nuke. So what is a tile world? Well, if you've seen Google Street View or QuickTime VR, you're probably familiar with panoramas. They're those images that you can pan left and right and look any direction in. And they come in a number of formats. A very common format is this one, latitude, longitude, which is essentially a spherical projection that's been unwrapped into a rectangular or rectilinear map. But how do you arrive at this result? How do you assemble a panorama? Well, the easiest way is to shoot a series of images in tiles and then reassemble them in post. So rather than using a specialized camera that can shoot the panorama all in one shot, you take any old camera, movie camera or a still camera, and you shoot an overlapping series of tiles, and then you assemble them. And if you do it this way in 3D, where you move each essentially cone of your field of view over and assemble them in this way in 3D, you'll be taking into consideration the converging perspective of the scene. If you think of the viewer as being in the middle of the universe's perspective, all perspective essentially radiates in towards the viewer. And when you rotate the camera around its no parallax point or nodal point, you're essentially rotating around that converged perspective. Perspective essentially converges at this nodal point of the lens. I'll send out a link on how to find the nodal point of the lens so that when you shoot your own tiles, you'll be able to properly set up your camera. It helps to have a panorama mount or VR mount. This allows you to rotate the camera system around the nodal point of the lens by rigidly mounting it there. And you can buy them store-built like this. These cost an awful lot of money. But you can also build them out of pieces of hardwood or aluminum. It doesn't really matter if it looks fancy as long as it lines up the lens properly. And you can successfully collect the tiles that you need. You can even do it freehand. It's also helpful to have a robotic system if you intend to shoot very complex patterns or patterns that have a lot of tiles in them. And I've built a system like this myself that allows me to shoot repeatable patterns that are fairly complex. But it's not necessary. You can completely do it freehand. And if there's nothing close to you in frame, you don't even have to worry so much about the nodal point of the lens. It's only for things that are somewhat close, like the foreground of a scene like this, or if you have fences or poles or features close to you in frame, then the no parallax point or nodal point of the lens, getting that just right, becomes much more important. You can automate the process of stitching the tiles together using software like this. This is Autopano Pro, but this locks you out of a lot of interesting possibilities like shooting individual moving tiles or compositing a tile separately from the rest and putting it back into your finished solution. What we're going to learn is how to do it in Nuke, which will allow us to put any image we want onto the tiles, including moving footage. So as you can imagine, this opens up an awful lot of possibilities. As we'll see in the next few videos, the lens distortion of the lens and the field of view of the system, the camera and lens combined, are separate issues that need to be calculated. And we'll see strategies for working out both.